And I've got a guy named James Myers from Valley Cycle Center in Winchester, Virginia, joining me today. James, welcome.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. How's everything out there on the East Coast?
The weather's starting to break. The sun's shining. The birds are chirping. So, that's always a special time in the power sports industry when that occurs. So,
It's with what the one you're involved with. That's local to your proximity, or do you guys have more far-reaching interaction with other places, other states?
No, it's just Virginia.
Okay.
Just Virginia.
Okay. Yeah, like I say, that area, as we discussed it, I thought, man, I just know there's not a whole lot of my dealers that talk about it with me, but doesn't mean they're not involved, or maybe, like you say, maybe they're paying dues to somebody who is doing it. But I thought that's really going to be something where there's probably plenty of dealership owners and managers who really should be, paying closer attention to these deals and how they affect them. As we know, we wake up and there's a new law. Oh, wow, that affects me negatively. Should have paid more attention to that. How can I start paying attention to that?
Well, and the biggest thing anymore is the manufacturer relationship that we have. We all know our reps. Most of us like our reps. We enjoy them. We enjoy seeing them come in, but a lot of times there's things that the manufacturers do that don't serve our interest the best. And I know a dealer in a state that doesn't have a very strong dealer association, and I can't remember the name of the street, but just for instance, he runs XYZ Power Sports on Main Street, and his address might be the 800 block of Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
And on the 1600 block of Main Street, there is a dealer with like brands in his store. So 8 miles down the road, he's got a competitor selling the exact same stuff with almost the same address. And those are the stories that just really drive me crazy. It's yeah. And then you ask them, do you have a state association or any type of dealer board or anybody that you can go back to and talk to and try to figure this out to block that from happening? Or and the answer is no. We don't have that. So, and the only way to get it is just to start. Somebody's got to start doing it. I think it would be best for anybody's business, and it's also a good way to keep our partners, in air quotes here. You can't see me, but I'm doing it. Our partners, our manufacturer partners, from doing things that don't really go against our interests.
I guess some takeaways. Obviously, if somebody's listening to this and they think, yeah, that's something I should do. Do you have any recommended go to a certain website, or is it something where you encourage them to contact guys like you or anybody directly for sort of feedback or insight on how to do it? Or
well, anybody's. I'm an open book, and I love to help. I've gained so much from talking to smart people in this industry, and if I can be able to help anybody else and offer the same type of help I've received, I'm very happy to do so. I don't know that I can help them find their who runs their state association, their executive director, and one of their board members or another dealer. But the best thing, if you're new getting into the business, just call the dealer in the next town and talk with them a little bit and see if there's anything like that. But I think there's more states that have them than not. Okay. And if there's not one, it's probably something that you start to organize the dealer base in that state and figure out how to start it, how to get it going. And a good place to start would be looking, I promise you all of your auto dealers have one in all 50 states. So a good place to start would be to reach out to the Auto Dealer Association in your state and to kind of get a blueprint for how to start, where to go. I've found anybody that I've talked to be super helpful here in Virginia. So I that's probably where I would start, but certainly.
So tell me about how wonderful it is to be involved with multiple generation of dealership management and ownership.
Well, I tell you, it is. When I stand back and look at it 20 years from now, I think I probably will say it was just a real treat. It was a real privilege to be involved with my family, to work. There's been times that I would have argued against that, certainly here, but when I stand back and look, to have the opportunity to be able to work with my father and to spend time, because when my brother and I were growing up, we got to see him when we came to visit him at work. We didn't see him as much at home. He started the business in 1968, so we're in our 51st year now, and times were tough. I mean, it was thin. It wasn't like we were out and he was on his yacht and we got to go visit him, on vacation in the Caribbean, that kind of stuff. I mean, it was if the doors need to be open, that cash register needs to ring, and I got to be there. And every dollar mattered. Every deal was important. He wanted to be a piece of every deal, whether it be a work order or anything. It was him and 2 or 3 other guys to start, and then eventually grew into where he'd hired a receptionist and a bookkeeper, and then an F&I manager. Then before long, the mid '90s hit, and happy days are here. You just couldn't. Everything that you ordered sold, and that's about the time I came to work for my father. So I was working. I graduated, and was encouraged to go get other work before I ever considered to come to work for Valley Cycle. And that's what I did. And I went to work for an auto parts store here in town and worked there for a little while in my early 20s, and was offered a promotion to be the store assistant manager. And I thought that this is the beginning chapter of me taking over the world. Like, I can't believe that, I've been here 6 months and all of a sudden they're offering me a management position, and I was going to make 32 grand, a year if I took this job. And so I talked to my father. I came to him. I said, this is what's happened. And he said, let me show you what happens, how much money you're going to make if you sell an R6. And we sat down, we did the math on that. And he said, I need a sales guy here, and I'd like for you to come to work for me. And then it was all over from there. To hear your father ask you to come to work and to be a part of something that that he's places higher value on this place than anything else for that matter, was just really kind of put me over the moon. I was really, really pleased to have that opportunity. So I came to work for him, and fast forward 20 years, here I am. Everything that I've learned has been primarily the hard way. It's been something that I've had to watch people succeed and emulate what they've done. I've had to talk to people smarter than me, way smarter than me, to try to get good ideas, to figure out how to navigate through this. And I've had to unfortunately watch people fail and see where they didn't succeed and avoid those pitfalls. So, this business is very difficult. This is a difficult business to navigate day to day, but when you add the complexity of family into the business, then it's really difficult, I think. So I'm not trying to say I had it tougher than anybody else out there, but the kid that succeeds the father, it's a tough gig. It's a tough gig. So
I'm the owner and I'm a technician in the back, or I'm the owner and I'm a parts. I mean, you'll see some examples, but the majority of the times, I think the expectation is, no, you need to be out and over the whole umbrella of it all in a sort of a general manager role. But like you're saying, it doesn't sound like that's necessarily the right setup. Definitely not for everybody. So,
yeah, I don't think so. It's hard to manage people. That's the biggest problem, I think, that most of us have day to day is finding the right people and keeping the right people. And, some people just aren't going to do that well. It's just a fact.
mm-hmm.
You're just not going to find that's kind of hard to come by somebody I don't do it myself. I feel like I do it okay. I don't do it particularly well. I like to think all the employees here are happy and they understand what my shortcomings are. I'm upfront and honest with them about that kind of stuff. So, I just treat them the way that I'd want to be treated. But there's also, if you got a guy who is showing interest in your dealership, your son's showing interest in your dealership, but they have a hard time reading a financial statement, you're not going to have a very successful dealership for long. And it can be done. I don't think that, I'm not saying that they can't do it. they just really have to bend outside of their comfort zone, and they have to do it every day for the amount of time that they own this dealership. So
It's
not really setting them up for success.
doesn't mean they can't be taught those things, but they definitely have to be someone who's willing to put in excess work in that area to become astute. And it would seem like.
Well, and if they're not willing to do it, they can still be an owner, but they need to have a really, really good GM, somebody they can trust. They need to have a really, really good accountant, again, somebody that they can trust. And they probably are not going to enjoy this, but they need to be involved with some type of a 20 group and have some type of peer review so that they can have other people that are analyzing their financials. It can have a total of 3 different people kind of guiding them and telling them what's going on, their GM, their accountant, and then their peer review group. So, if they do those things, then they can probably do it just fine. And it's, and get by being the parts guy or service writer, service manager, or whatever best fits them in that dealership. So, I've been involved, and I'm not trying to do a commercial here for Spader. I pay them a ton of money, so I'd like to think they might pay me back if I say something nice about it. But they've helped me out quite a bit. And one of the things that they do is called a DISC profile, and DISC is an acronym for something. I don't even know what it stands for, but what you learn about yourself is unbelievable, and what you learn about other people. And once you do one of them yourself, you can kind of figure out where people in your dealership fit into that. And I think it was so enlightening to do that. And almost trying to figure out how to verbalize this, but it let me off the hook in some ways for me not being able to do the things that I wish I was better at. It's like, oh, well, that's not my personality, or that's not the way I operate, not the way I think. So no wonder I can't do that well. But you know who does do that well? This person over here. So I'm going to give them that responsibility. I'm going to delegate that work to them.
I'll get a certain level of success or engagement or kind of gel up with certain individuals much easier than others. And I always thought, well, geez, we just are on different ends of things. And I realized that the different people that I was interacting with, my dealerships or prospects that I'm interacting with, are all of these other variations of those things. And obviously the two of us coming together, what's the best scenario to come together? And I'm not saying the DISC, I don't know it, so I'm not really speaking to that, but it's interesting how the sort of the personality, or as you said, the inclination that you're likely to go to definitely plays in when you got multiple humans involved. So, well,
you nailed it. It's and a room full of D's is not going to get along. A room full of I's are going to have a hard time with one another. And to have a nice diverse group of people in your dealership is really an advantage. It really is. And again, it just comes back to people. It's the people you have around you, the people you have working for you, the people you associate with are going to be a pretty good indicator of your future success.
Well, and that's interesting too, because you're right. I think the idea that, well, I could never really do a job like that very well. I could never be in sales, or I could never, whatever, name that thing. Obviously, that's, if somebody's got that same opinion, or that, comes from that perspective, obviously that's something that could easily prove them, wrong in that area, and that they can do whatever they want to do. You just have to make sure you got the right team around you. So,
well, yeah, you get them and like Colin said, get them in the right seat of the bus too. I've hired people in service who I thought would be an excellent service advisor. And the more you're around him, the more you talk to him, you're like, I got this guy on the wrong seat. He would be a much, much better.
Thanks again for listening to this lost tape of the Dealership Fix It podcast. These guest interviews still hit hard, and we're bringing them back re-edited, sharpened up, and focused entirely on what matters, helping dealerships like yours improve, grow, and win. If you got something out of this one, hit that share button or forward it to a dealership friend who needs it. And make sure you're following the show so we can keep bringing you more content like this with convos with people shaping the power sports industry. Catch you on the next one.
Still guessing what to pay on a used bike? Still holding aged units that just won't move? It's time for a real system. Moto Hunt's ultimate used inventory playbook shows how the best dealers are finding better inventory, pricing trades right, and turning used bikes faster with fewer mistakes and more margin. It's short, real, and free to download right now. Visit dealers.motohunt.com to grab your copy or check for the link in the notes.